Last night when I said the 4:30 p.m. Mass, I was actually really struck when I came to the back of the church. They had done some decorating since I had been in here. So I was immediately struck by the color, the green trees here in the sanctuary, the flowers of Our Lady of Guadalupe here, since tomorrow is her feast day. She's the patroness of our diocese. And I'm wearing pink. So just noticing there's a lot of extra color today at Mass, and that's no accident. So first of all, I call this pink. The church calls it rose. I don't know if that's just priests trying to make themselves feel better about wearing pink. But it's all intentional. It is a burst of color supposed to get your attention. Because Advent is a time of penance, of preparation, of making the way, preparing our hearts for Jesus' coming, which is a process. And this is the church calling us to be able to rejoice in the midst of struggle. All this color specifically, this word of rejoicing, is because the church knows the journey is hard. What is your journey right now? What are you working on? Is there something in your life that you're trying to do? Did you take something on in preparation for Christmas? Some people even give up things like chocolate. I gave up alcohol, which is easy to do, I promise. Especially with all these Christmas parties. Some of us are working on getting. Some of us feel like we're trying to get our life back together. Really bad things have happened, and I'm trying to get myself back together. Really struggling to overcome grief. What are you working on? Are you trying to accomplish something in your family, in yourself? Are you trying to overcome some bad habits? What's the journey? Especially, maybe some of us aren't working on anything. We're just kind of one day at a time, getting through things, kind of going through emotions. And we're not doing anything. We're not really working on anything. This is Advent. It's a time of preparation. And preparation is a process, and we're all on a journey to heaven, whether we like it or not. We are all preparing for death, and that is a difficult process. Where are you at in that process? I like to listen to Father Mike Schmitz. He's a great priest from Duluth. I really get the sense that he's a man of prayer. As a priest, I like to listen to other priests preach, partly because I don't believe in plagiarism. I have no shame in stealing other people's content. And Father Mike, but here I am giving him credit, so I'm not plagiarizing. He began his sermon this week pointing out how a lot of us, we use the expression, I can't wait. I can't wait. That expression captures a lot of the sentiment when you're in a process. You think, man, I can't wait for Christmas to get here. Sometimes it's what we say when we're really excited. I can't wait for the wedding. You know, that we've been waiting for this wedding for so long. Sometimes it's a little bit more intense. I can't wait for this boy to propose, finally put a ring on it. Sometimes it's, I can't wait for the doctor to figure out what's wrong. I can't wait to get some answers, some clarity about what I need to do. Why I'm so sick all the time. Sometimes I can't wait to get my life back together. I can't wait for this difficult season in my life to be over. I can't wait for this homily to be over. I don't know. Father Mike Schmidt says, the reason we say that so commonly, I can't wait, is because often we literally can't. We're really bad at waiting. We don't like to wait. And even if we do wait, it's out of tolerance. We tolerate the process, but we don't see the benefit of the process. We're not good at waiting. We don't take advantage of the waiting journey. what are we waiting for right now? When it comes to our relationship with God, where are we at? What are we waiting for? Are we actually putting it off? Are we putting off improving my prayer life? Or are we waiting for things to happen? Today's second reading from St. James, the letter of St. James is a short book, and he gives us a word today. For those of us who are in a process, he's got something to say to us, and guys, we're not going to like it. You're not going to like what he has to say. It's a hard thing. But put yourself in the situation. Waiting can be hard. The process, we want to get to the destination, and sometimes we discount what happens in the process. For me, I experienced that in a very heavy way. When I first entered seminary, I had broken up with my girlfriend. I had put aside, I dropped out of my college career. When I was in the last 2 years pursuing civil engineering. I gave up a lot of things to go try to see if God was calling me to be a priest. I left it, went to seminary, and in that first year, we had a 5-day silent retreat, 5 days of silence. And I was all ready. I was gung-ho. I literally prayed 4 hours a day in the chapel. I prayed all of the rosary. I prayed all of the liturgy of the hours, this prayer of priests. I did all this stuff, and I was eager. I was like, yes, Lord, let's do this. I want you to change me. And after 2 days, I was angry. Nothing was changing. I wanted things to happen. So what St. James says to us today, if we're in that process where we feel kind of stuck, or we're just not feeling the progress is happening, we're not getting to the destination, we can't wait, St. James says this. Are you ready? Buckle up. You're not going to like this. St. James says, be patient. Be patient. Doesn't sound real helpful. But perhaps I propose to you that this patience is to remind us that God is here now, in the process. That this process does something, that it's important. The Israelites journeyed in the desert for 40 years, and it wasn't 40 wasted years. God was preparing them, providing for them, bringing the manna, bringing these marvels, water from the rock. He was teaching them about who He is, how He is up to something here and now. Working on a relationship takes time, but every moment in the relationship, when you look back, you cherish all those memories. What I propose to you is that the process, this process of being patient, prepares and it reveals. Patience in the process allows for us to be prepared, and it allows for revelations. Here's what I mean. For preparation, Father Mike Schmitz gives the example of King David. So King David was the youngest of 8 brothers, and the prophet Samuel shows up at their house, ready to anoint someone king. God has inspired him to anoint a new king. And he looks at the 7 older brothers, says, no. Where, you got anybody else? Well, little David is out in the fields with the sheep. They called him in. Samuel says, that one. He anoints little Samuel king. And now he gets to do all kinds of kingly stuff. No. He gets sent back to the sheep, wasting time with the sheep. He learns to play the lute to keep himself busy. Learns to sing, becomes really good at the lute, which tells you how much activity there is when you're watching sheep. But in that process, at one point, the king Saul is under some heavy stress. And they bring in David to play the lute, the lyre, for King Saul. Well, here he is. King David, or little David, is playing and singing music for the king. Well, in that process, he learns about the king's court. And he gets to understand a glimpse of the pressure that the king carries, his responsibilities. Gets sent back to the sheep. Well, with the sheep, he's growing, he's maturing, and he faces some pretty serious struggles. He faces some lions and a bear. And in that process, he gains courage and physical strength, which prepares him for the day that he's called to face Goliath. And it was his faith in God, but also the fact that he had prepared, he had faced lions and other monsters, so he was ready for the giant Goliath. And he took him down. That prepared him to be entrusted with armies. He learns about leadership, becoming a general. He learns a bit more about the king. But he's still not king. What a long process. Oh my goodness. He was anointed years ago and he's still not king. What's going on? Well, now the King Saul starts chasing after him, seeking to kill him because he's jealous. And he gets demoted and he ends up being the leader of a ragtag gang of wanderers, far from the status of king. But in that he learns humility anew. David goes through all kinds of things before he is made actual king, before he starts to serve what his calling was. But in that process, he was being prepared. Part of why James says, be patient. You're being prepared for something, and you may not appreciate it now. Patience in the process prepares and it reveals. When I was nearing the end of the 5 days, the last day of my 5-day silent retreat as a seminarian, I had learned a lot about myself. A lot of things had been revealed to me about myself. Through that experience of feeling frustrated, like nothing was happening, losing total patience with God, I learned that I was capable of being angry with God. I didn't know that about myself. I learned as I tried to spend extra silence before God in church, I learned that I carry a lot of petty resentments, that I would dwell on thoughts that were dumb, but I would get stuck on these little resentments, being annoyed or angry about people in my life. I learned all kinds of things about myself. In the process, if you give up something, if you're striving, let's say you want to go through the process to spend more time in prayer, you're going to learn a lot about yourself. If you want to get closer to God and you actually invest time getting closer to God, I guarantee you're going to learn how far you are from Him. I guarantee you, if you make time to work on becoming less selfish, you're going to learn a lot about how selfish you are. If you make these efforts to enter the process, a lot of things are going to be revealed to you. And that's not pretty. It's an ugly thing. But being patient allows you to find God in the process. Allow Him to use it to prepare you, to heal you, to help you grow. Being patient in the process, because it's preparing and it's revealing. This is so crucial. At the end of my 5-day, at the last day of the silent retreat, I was kind of tired. We had the last mass of the retreat, and I had just received communion, and I was sitting a little bit shell-shocked, like a lot has happened on this week. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that I don't pray sincerely. I say, "Thy will be done," but I actually have expectations. So I'm just kind of sitting marveling at all the things I've learned about myself. And all of a sudden, this truth came. Jesus kind of spoke this word to my heart very clearly. I didn't hear a voice, but this truth pierced me. The Lord saying, "I love you with all your sin." I love you with all your sin. It was the Lord saying, be patient. I felt consoled and I felt challenged. This is what God wants us to take today, to rejoice that He's present in the process, that the process prepares and it reveals, and He's here. And that is not just a nice thought. It's happening today at this altar.